One of the big problems that we have, I believe, in the church and among Christians is the problem of sin, recognizing sin. Now, I'm not talking about sins plural, I'm talking about sin singular. We talk about the acts of sin, and we many times look at the world and see the condition of the world and the acts that they commit and talk about these acts of sin. But most of the time we fail to look at the sin singular, because sin singular is the problem. The acts of sin come from the fact that we have sin, or we have a sin nature. The acts spring from that, and we sin in the act because we are sinners. We have a sin nature. And many times I think that we as believers fail to see the condition of our own lives. And many times we look out and see the acts of those that are involved in acting out their sin, and we condemn that, but we don't look at our own hearts. The Bible says in 1 John chapter 1 and verse 8, if we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. It's very important that we understand how important truth is. We must have our mind filled with truth. Everything that we do must relate and come from truth. So John is saying, if we say we have no sin, singular, understand what he's saying here. He's saying if we say we have no sin, if we don't have the sin nature, if our life is not, if we are not in sin by birth and have that, then we deceive ourselves and the truth is not in us. That means that before a person can even come to know Christ, he must realize first that he is a sinner. He has sin. He has a sin nature that is his problem. Now, but when we look at 1 John, we need to understand who he's talking to. He's not talking to the world. He's talking to believers. This is written to believers, because the book of 1 John is written to show us how we know we are saved. The Gospel according to John is written to show us how to be saved. But here, when we look at this, he's speaking to believers, and he says, if we say that we have no sin, if we say that our life, we have rid ourselves of sin, and we no longer possess that nature, then we are deceived, and the truth is not in us. Now, in verses 9 and 10, he'll deal with sins in the act. But here he's dealing with sin singular, what we are, what we possess, what we have, and in our being. So I think what we need to realize today is not so much the sins in the act around us, but we need to take a look in our own hearts and see what is there and recognize who we are as sinners before God. Thank you. That's our 4-minute message for today. God bless.